Hey, hey, hey there, good people. This is your Supreme Lord Commander here. It is Thursday, October the 20th, 2016. Are you watching baseball? Are you into baseball? If not, you might want to stop watching this video. Yes, the World Series are on. Unfortunately for Canadian fans, Canadian baseball fans, especially if you're a Toronto Blue Jays fan, they got eliminated last night by the Tribe. I think in 5 games. They had a pretty good run though. Baseball is huge here in Canada. It is one of the baseball, most people think of it as American, and the Americans, it's their favorite pastime and stuff like that, but it's huge here. It's always been huge here, up in Canada, and especially in Quebec. So Quebec has a huge history. If you know about the Royals, Jackie Robinson playing out of Montreal, AAA baseball, and then the Montreal Expos were the first team outside the United States to join Major League Baseball back in the late 60s. Charles Bronfman was the owner back then. And then they had a wonderful ride. First, they played out of Jerry Park, which wasn't really a Major League Baseball stadium. And then they moved the team after about a decade over to the Olympic Stadium, which is this big cavernous concrete freaking monstrosity. Which, wow, I had a lot of good memories there, I gotta say, because I watched, I don't know, hundreds of games there. But nonetheless, it wasn't a baseball stadium. It was the worst stadium ever, probably in the history of baseball in terms of atmosphere. And it wasn't the fans' fault. It wasn't the employees' fault. It wasn't the team's fault. It was just the building was just awful. So now, and just to reiterate there, the main reason why the Expos left Montreal was because a stadium was never built, or a real baseball stadium. And we were teased throughout many, many years. Back in the 90s, the Lauriers came in, so they were going to build Labatt Park, and it was going to be right next to the Bell Center. And, we're like, if you're a diehard baseball fan like I was, a Montreal Expos fan, and you watch the team just disintegrate, and you have fire sale after fire sale, and watch all our best players, like, one of the best known quotes about the Expos was that they were the best farm team in the majors. Something my father used to always say is that they could never really fully compete after the 80s because of the economics of baseball, and because they couldn't build a stadium, and they didn't have good ownership, and eventually the team was sold to Major League Baseball, and Major League Baseball just basically dismantled the team, played half the games in Puerto Rico. It was really nasty the way they left. It left everyone with a sour taste in their mouth. So I haven't watched baseball since 2004. So that's, 12 years now? But now there are rumblings that the Expos could be coming back fairly soon, within maybe the next 5 years. And this piece of evidence might be the biggest clue thus far. Now, if you haven't been following it, if you're a Montreal Expos diehard fan, you probably know all this shit. But the Expos, there's been a huge push to bring the Expos back. And leading that charge has been some of the former players like Warren Cromartie, and then some of the former owners, the Bronfmans being one of the biggest players involved. The Expos have been hosting Blue Jay games, preseason games and stuff like that, selling out or getting 50,000 plus in the Olympic Stadium to watch these games, to send a clear message. The commissioner of Major League Baseball has noted several times that Montreal seems to be the most logical next place that they're going to start another franchise or move a franchise. They either create a franchise, or they have to move a franchise into Montreal. So you can see one of the franchises out there that's not doing so well, like Tampa Bay, for instance, could end up being the Expos, just like Montreal ended up being the Washington Nationals. So, what is the latest piece of evidence? Well, Stephen Bronfman has purchased this chunk of land right at the Peel Basin here. So I'll show you here. This is downtown Montreal up here, and Old Montreal is over this way, sort of thing. And this is the Peel Basin. So you've got the old port down here. You've got the Lachine Canal. And so pretty close to downtown Montreal. Let's show you another photo here, which shows you a different perspective, where you've got, this is Old Montreal right here, and you've got the Peel Basin, and then you've got the Lachine Canal sort of thing. And probably the best one here is this one here. It gives you an idea. Now, originally, when they were going to build the Labatt Park, which was teased to us, it would have been over this way. So that would have been even better because it would be right downtown. But this is actually a very good location because you see way over here, that's the Olympic Stadium. And that's where the Expos played for the last 20, 30 years of their existence. So to get there, it was not that bad because you get on a metro and then the metro will take you there in about 20 minutes from downtown. Or you drive out there, and that can be kind of nasty. So it was very far from the city center. This, now I've walked this many times. Walking from, say, where the Bonaventure is down to here might be 5-10 minutes sort of thing. So it's a perfect location. So Stephen Bronfman, of course, has been one of the most, energetic sort of corporate guys to try to bring back the Expos, and now he's purchased this land. Of course, the Bronfmans are one of the richest families in Canada, and they were the ones that originally brought the Expos in, so it'd be fitting if they were heavily involved in bringing the Expos back to Montreal. So yeah, this now has come forth, and people are getting excited. A lot of diehard Montreal. You see, I even retweeted this thing here. We're all very excited. We want to see baseball come back, and we know that, with Montreal, the weather's a little bit worse here than it is, say, in Boston. So probably the first month, say April, and then maybe October, you'd have to play out of the Olympic Stadium, depending on the conditions. But if you build a ballpark this close to downtown, it'd be the perfect location in many ways. And so this is great news. I mean, what do you think? If you're an Expos fan, if you're a diehard fan of Nos Amours, you watched them for years, you were a season ticket holder, or you're a big-time baseball fan, are you excited about this? And how soon do you think the Expos could come back? Obviously, if they're going to build a stadium right there, it's going to take them a couple years to build it. How much will the stadium cost? Back when they were going to build the Labatt Stadium, they estimated it'd be like $350 million. It's probably double that amount, at least now. So if you're going to make a ballpark, would it be a bare bones type of ballpark? This is what I would recommend too, is that you make a ballpark that has the bare bones, say 35, 40,000, that can be expandable and that can be easily modified in the future, so that you don't, no frills, just make it a great ballpark with great sight lines, and people will come. So why would it be so successful in Montreal? The Expos were very successful, especially in the 80s, in the heydays of the Expos. I mean, you had Andre Dawson, Tim Raines, who hopefully will get into the Hall of Fame this summer. That, Montreal's a massive tourist city. Of course, it's over 4 million in Greater Montreal, so it is the largest population center in the North America outside of Mexico that does not have a Major League Baseball team, by far. So you've got much smaller markets, of course, in the United States that are able to support teams. With Montreal, you have a massive city that has a huge history of baseball, that has been very successful in the past, already has a huge baseball culture, massive baseball culture here in Quebec. I mean, it's big here. There are probably more kids playing baseball in the summer than there are playing hockey in the winter. I don't know. I could be wrong. But yeah, baseball is huge here, and it would be great to get the Expos back, to be back in the big leagues, and it's most especially to have an outdoor stadium. And then you think about the heydays of, or the tourist season of Montreal, with all the festivals right through, say, from June right through till September. You have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of tourists showing up to the city, and many of them would be from places like Boston or New York or whatever. And then, of course, they want to watch baseball. So that was always a big part of the Expos, bringing in audiences in the past, especially in the 90s when the attendance dipped and the ownership sucked and the fire sales were happening. It was usually you go to the stadium and you'd see a lot of fans from Boston or from New York or whatever that would follow their teams. But anyways, I think this is cool news. I'm hoping that this is the reason why he bought it. I think that makes logical sense, since Stephen Bronfman has been a massive, probably the most active business person dealing with trying to bring back the Expos. The fact that he's purchased this chunk of land here at the Peel Basin, and what else would you use it for? And there was a stadium not too far from here back in the way before my time, but back in the Expo 67, they had the Autostad, which was a bit further down this way. So they've had stadiums out here before. This is better because people can walk to it from downtown. They've already got this promenade here, or this could be something that they're going to design to have a promenade where fans could make their way from downtown right to the Expos. You've already got Old Montreal, you've got all the hotels, it's a perfect location, really, considering that most of the land has already been used all around downtown Montreal. It would make for great videos where, you have the skyline in the background and, the Peel Basin and Old Montreal, and it would be great. It'd be absolutely fantastic. And I love baseball, so I really want to see baseball come back to Montreal. I think this is the biggest piece of news that has come out thus far, and this might really mean the ball is rolling. You might see a team here within 2-3 years in Montreal. I predict within 5 years, Montreal Expos will return to Montreal. Thanks for listening. Leave your thoughts below. Make sure you're subbed to the channel. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. If you have any more insight, please leave it below. Have a wonderful day.